Hey everyone, this is the Noble Artist here, and today's going to be another tutorial. I know it is not a Tuesday, but I'm going to do this tutorial anyway. And this one is going to be on this really awesome sniper rifle that I made for the last You Pick I Paint figure, which if you haven't seen it's right there. I'll put a link to that figure or that video here, and I will try to be replicating this gun. I'm not going to be painting it in this video, and I'm going to try to edit some of this so it's not going to be super long. And I'm trying to get better at editing, because if I get more proficient at that, I can do not longer videos, but more in a video. I really also want to do a custom from start to finish and show you exactly how I made it. I was going to do that with one of the jet troopers, or jetpack trooper, and I might do that with one of the newer figures from the new movie, but I wanted to do it start to finish and then just cut the video up so it's not like an hour or 2 hour long video. It's just basically me talking and trying to tell you how exactly to do it, and just cut it up so it's more compact, I guess. But anyway, this is a really awesome sniper rifle that I just recently made, and I'm going to show you how to make this one. So what you're going to need here, I have the materials you'll need, and then the tools. There's a lot more tools and material because it's just the way this worked out. What you're going to need, one of the longer Lego guns. This is I guess the rifle type gun, but you're going to need one of these. You're going to need some kind of metal. This is the metal that I sold with my, I don't have one, the kits right there, the template kit. I need to get more metal because this one is a little bit thinner than I appreciate, but it works really well anyway, so I'm going to be using that. We got metal. We also need if I can pick it up, a toothpick. Doesn't matter what kind. This one has some design in the top of that, which I'm going to use, but any toothpick will work. I also have here a little piece of foam. Now, these next three pieces are optional for the materials that I'm using. You can use anything you want, but this is a little square piece of foam. This I have no clue what it is. It's a piece of plastic, but it's kind of like rubbery plastic, so I don't really know how to describe it. It's just like it's a really stiff rubber. And then this is a little piece of plastic that I use also for the belts and figures. But I mean, you can get this from a gift card type material, any like hard plastic, but it is also really thin, so that will be a necessary piece too. So that is the materials, the equipment. Tweezer bees, you'll need scissors to cut these type of things. You'll need the X-Acto knife to cut the toothpick. You'll need these pliers why did I bring these pliers down here? I don't think I need those pliers. Anyway, so you'll also need these, my goodness, I can't think of the name. It's kind of like a not wire cutter. I don't know what these are, but you need some kind of shears or something that, you need a hole punch. You only need this for one piece, basically. It's for two, but it's for one. And then some glue. I just use generic super glue. I get this at Walmart. Comes in a tube, super easy. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and get started with this. Now, hopefully the way I do this video is going to not take so long, and I can edit it the way I want. And then I'm trying to get my tripod to work because it's being weird. So first step we're going to do, we are going to be trimming this piece down because we don't need the barrel, we don't need the scope, and we need to shorten the stock. So let me go ahead and shorten that piece. Also, one other thing you might need, either a rat tail file or some kind of sandpaper, because when you cut these pieces of plastic off, you need to trim them because it's going to be a little bit rough. So let's go ahead and cut these pieces off. Now what you do is when you cut the stock off, the stock here, you just want the end part of the stock. Now there is going to be some extra back here on the gun. You're also going to want to cut that off. Cut it to where it actually ends. You can see there's a little piece right there where the end of the stock ends. Cut that off like so. And we don't need these pieces right here. Okay, so now once you got those pieces cut off, what you're going to do next is you are going to take your file, if you have sandpaper or file, whatever. You're just going to quickly sand off the pieces or the edges you just cut. Okay, so now once the gun is smooth, now we don't have any rough edges like that, we can trim up the bottom of this area a little bit more, which I will do. I'm going to go ahead and cut that piece off. I actually forgot to do it in that little clip, but we're going to cut that off so it looks like it has a trigger. So one cut there, and then one cut there, and then the gun looks like it actually has a trigger. We're going to sand that up real quick. Alrighty, so now that we have that done, we don't need this, but we also will keep the scope because the scope is what I use for the Jango Fett style pistol, which there will be a link to all my tutorials up here in the top corner. Where's my finger at? Top corner right there, which will have the tutorial on how to make the Jango Fett style pistol. I also forgot to sand off the back of the stock, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so now that we have all the pieces sanded, and we are now ready to cut the first piece. Now we're going to be adding the barrel on first, so what we'll do, you'll take our X-Acto knife, and then what you do is you basically place the knife. I'm going to cut this end part off because it has a design on it, but you place your X-Acto knife down, and then you simply just roll this back and forth. And then pop off the section that you don't need. And for this we will be using sandpaper to sand up the tip of it. Make it smoother. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this one to measure the barrel, but you can use whatever you want. I just eyed it the first time. Somewhere right about there. And now we have our barrel. Sand that up. Now the next step is going to be attaching the barrel. What we're going to do is get a little bit of glue. Hopefully this glue is going to be working for me. It looks like it's a little bit dried up at the end cap, but that's no worries. Taking care of the glue is definitely an important step. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of our glue, apply it to the gun itself, or the plastic part of the gun. Take the barrel, make sure that it is lined up. Like so, and then before the glue completely hardens, you just kind of want to look down the barrel on both sides, make sure it's even, it's sticking out straight where you want it, which it is. So we're going to let that dry for just a moment. And while that's doing that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the other pieces that need to be cut. So we had this piece of foam here, which is going to go underneath the barrel, but we need to put this piece on first. So this right here is going to be that under piece right there. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this because it actually is a little bit too thick. That's where these scissors come in handy. So let's cut this in half. Okay, so now that we have this piece cut in half, what we're going to do now is make sure that I'm going to measure this right. So I need to cut a little bit of that off. It's a little bit too long. You always want to measure twice, cut once. Okay, let's take a look at that. Perfect. Okay, so now you have the shape that you need, or the length. We're going to go ahead and cut at a diagonal angle. Give it more of an aerodynamic effect. So that's the piece that's going to go right underneath the gun like so. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit bigger or smaller. It's all good. So by now this glue should be dry enough that this would be secure. So what we're going to do here, apply some more glue to the gun. Now I apply all the glue to the gun itself and then attach the piece. Just because if I do that, I know where the glue is going to stay. This piece right here is going to go right underneath the gun, right in the middle. Making sure that it is lined up. And then plastic on plastic dries fairly quickly and quite strong, so if you get a good bond, it will stick on there really nice. So that is going to be where we want it, so I'm going to leave it there. Now that might be a little bit thicker than this one, but it's okay because it works. It's not too bad. So now we're going to take the piece of foam, little foam wedge, and this is going to basically do the same design or the same shape as that last piece. Now the foam is super easy to cut into, so don't worry about messing this up because it cuts through like a hot knife through butter, and there's not a lot that can go wrong with it. So we're going to cut a little wedge off of that, kind of measure it with that one. Okay, we need to go a little bit shorter. And then we need to cut the diagonal angle. Okay, so now that we have the angle and the shape of this piece, it is a slightly sharper angle on that one, but let's see how it looks. Okay, so now that I notice that it's a little bit too wide, I want to thin that up just a little bit. Making sure to be careful not to cut myself. And remember, when you use sharp scissors and X-Acto knives, just be careful. No one needs to get hurt. So now that that piece is the desired length, I'm going to make it a little more sharp of an angle. Get a little bit of a point to it. Okay. So now with this piece, we're just going to put a little bit of glue underneath the barrel. see if it comes out. Okay. Whoa! Don't need a whole lot of glue. Now this stuff definitely doesn't need a lot of glue. This foam dries, or it hardens pretty quick to whatever you're gluing it to. Not hardens, but it will stick really well to the glue. Okay, now at this point I'm going to put a little more glue on the barrel just to keep it intact. I'm going to use the other end of this toothpick to kind of spread some of that glue that I just put on around the barrel, making sure that it is how I want it. Okay, so now that we have that going on, we're going to go ahead and attach the stock, which I'm actually going to sand up a little bit more. Alrighty, so now we have that. I'm also going to cut off the corner of the stock because the stock does have a longer side, and I want to even up both sides because we don't want one side to look too long, because then I get kind of not confused, but it's supposed to go a certain way on the gun, and I just want to make it look the same. So now that we've done that, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but just cut off the longer part of that stock. So now we're going to take our stock, apply a little bit of glue to the back of this gun, and then gently set that on there. Making sure that it is lined up, and I think we are good to go. Now that might take a few moments to dry, but while that is doing that, we're going to go over here and cut out pieces to start making the scope. So what we're going to do is take this hole punch a hole into this metal. Now the reason that this metal isn't the best, because when you do that, you get a little bit that's stuck because it doesn't punch all the way through it. So then I kind of had to just pull it off like that. So anyway, that doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and trim that extra piece off, which is totally fine. So now that we have this hole, or this circle, I'm going to cut that circle in half. So now these two half pieces are what we're going to be using for the top part of the scope. So now we have the two metal pieces cut out. We're going to take the top part of our of the toothpick that I had. So I'm going to cut off a little bit more of that, just because we don't need it that long. Okay, so go ahead and cut that off. I'm going to sand it just a little bit. Now we have that there. Now we're going to have to put this on the gun before we can add, actually we don't have to do that, or do we? No, we don't. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these two metal pieces on, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to bend those around. I'm going to slowly bend them, so I need something, let's see. I'm actually going to bend this over top of the end of the scope, which is where it's going to be attached. So we're going to attach it right like that. So now that, once it's bent over the barrel, you can pretty much just set it onto the barrel, but I'm going to sand that a little bit more because it's a little rough. Take my tweezer bees. Okay, now this is going to go right over top of the barrel. I don't know why I keep saying barrel, but it's the scope. So now that goes right over top of that end piece of the scope, I don't know if that's going to focus. I also haven't been paying attention to what my camera's been looking at. So if you haven't been able to see, I do apologize. So that is going to go just like so. And now I'm going to put a little bit of glue inside of that on the end. Make sure that's hardened. Okay. Now we're going to do the same with the other side. So basically you're taking a half circle and then bending it over the end of the scope. You can use another toothpick because it's the same size. So bending it over a toothpick. I tried to use it with the paintbrush, but don't do that. Use another toothpick. So that way it's the same size. So what we're going to do, line it up with the first one we just put on. Like so. Not sure how well you can see that, but it is lined up with the other one quite well. You can also use your tweezer bees to look at it, make sure that it is where you want it to be. Look at both sides, make sure that it is lined up. Now once it's on there, now it's not actually glued on there right now, so we're going to put a little bit of glue on the front. Alrighty, so now that we have the scope portion made, apologize if you can't see that, but when we have the scope made, we're going to need to add a little piece to the top of the gun to attach the scope. I'm also going to put a little bit more glue onto the stock just to reinforce it. It doesn't hurt to do that throughout this process, because once you put the initial glue on to just to get the piece stuck, but then you want to add a little bit more to fully secure the piece. So I'll kind of do that before the whole thing is finished anyway. But now that we have the scope ready, we're going to need to get that little piece at the top in order to secure it to. Now I have a little bit of this foam, and I'm just going to take a look and see what that looks like. So take a little bit of your foam, you can just cut a little sliver. This is a really small sliver, and I'm basically gluing this back onto where the old scope was. So we're going to put a little bit of glue there. And now we're going to attach this little piece of foam. Now I did kind of jack it up when I grabbed it with the tweezer beads, just because they pressed into it and it is foam. But do not worry about that. Small details. Okay. So now that we have the top piece on the gun, we're going to apply the scope. So take the scope with your tweezer beads or any method of holding that you have. You can even use your fingers if you want. I guess it doesn't really matter where you hold them. I'm going to hold them at one end of it. And what you're going to do is woo! I almost lost it. We almost lost it. That would have been bad. But we're going to put a bit of glue onto this top piece, like so. And then, and if you hold it upright, it might work better. But I'm trying to do it at an angle so you can see it too. For this piece, I'm definitely going to hold it with my fingers, just because I can put more pressure on it. But place that into the center. That dried actually fairly quickly. So now that we have our scope attached, make sure you can kind of see under, like, through it, so it's not like completely flat against the top of the gun. So now that that is there, we're going to add a little bit more glue for stability. So now we're going to take this little piece right here, this little sliver, and that is going to be coming out of here for the clip, which is going to go right here in the side where this big empty gap is. Make sure that you get it wide enough that it fits into the gun, or into that gap, because if you make it too long, then it won't fit into that groove. And you want it to fit into that groove so it will stay. I put a ton of glue. I don't need that much glue, but we're going to try to wipe some of that off. That's the problem with having liquid glue. It goes everywhere if you're not too careful. And right now we glued it to our tweezer beads. Great. Oh! Too much glue. Okay, we got this. Okay, so once you put that in there, I kind of angle it downwards. That kind of depends. That's all personal opinion. How steep you want that angle to be at. So I just kind of go a little bit down. It kind of depends. It varies on how you do it, and then that could also be trimmed down just a little bit. I might trim it down just compared to this one. It is a little bit longer. So once that glue fully sets, then we can go back over it with these pliers. Got some plastic in there, and then just do one crimp, and then take that extra slack out of it. Actually, it might be dry enough that I can do it right now, so I can show you. Take a hold, and then there you go. So now that is a lot better because it's not super long. These clips, sniper clips, don't have a lot of ammo anyway. So there you have it. Now let's do one last step, and then we will be done. We're going to take a little bit of this metal again. Let's just get a little sliver. We don't need a whole lot for this next step. So let's just cut a little. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be wrapping the end of the barrel. So we're going to take a little bit of glue here, But what we're going to do is we're going to bend it over, just the front of it over the toothpick just to get the shape, which helps hold it once the glue is on. Put a little bit of glue on it, and then we're going to put it at the bottom of the gun so the crease hopefully might stop there. Once we just set that there, push it, that glue is going to harden, and then we're just going to wrap it around a couple times. Now, this is a lot of metal. We won't be using all of it. Put a little bead right there, because if we use all this, then it's just going to be a really big piece on the end. Actually, we might, you know what, let's just use it all. Let's just use all of it. So just continue to wrap it around the barrel like so. And then just to get that to dry, or just to glue it on there, put a bead of glue on the front, which will hold the whole thing together. Now at this point, you're going to be noticing that your scope is really wiggly. Like you push it and it's going to be moving down. At first I thought that was a good idea, just because if someone bumps into it, then it's glued to the foam and the foam itself is moving, which is a great idea. So if you don't like that, then you can always put more glue on it, which I'm doing right now. Not to say it's a bad thing, I'm also gluing other pieces while I'm talking. It's just something that you can do to it. I'm kind of just covering these pieces in glue. Just I know you're like, glue overload, but no, you're gonna need glue to keep it all together. Especially when you have a toy like this, and that can be bumped easily and dropped, and especially when I ship stuff out, I don't want them to be really fragile. So glue is necessary. That when you paint over it, you won't be seeing it. But this glue should dry super hard on top of this on this material. So as you can see, this scope, it doesn't have, the scope doesn't have that wiggle to it because the glue hardened up. So there you have it. Now I'm not sure how long that took me. It took me about 24 minutes, and I've also been explaining it as I go along. So made one of these sniper rifles in 24 minutes. This is the, I'll try to get the before and after. Actually, I'll just do it this way. This is the one I made for my figure. I'm gonna do it this way now because it's easier. I made this for my figure. Now I painted this one up, so you can paint it if you want. Now the only difference is I did put these two little pouches on there. That is just very simple. It's the same material for this clip. So if you just get more plastic and you have two more pieces, just simply drop them on the side like that, glue them on, and then of course this one has color, so you can do whatever you want with this one. The glue is still drying a little bit, but this one is pretty much the exact same thing, just without the two pieces on it and the colors. So there you have it. That is how you make this sniper rifle. I don't have a name for it. I might think of something random, but yeah, if you like this video, hitchhike it. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. If you're the first person to do so, you'll get a shout out up in the corner or up in the middle. And also I will put a link to my other tutorials and how-tos here. Don't forget to fist pound that subscribe button there. It helps me out a whole lot. My next custom, I'm not too sure what it's going to be. I still need to do the next You Pick I Paint for this coming Monday. And then I also need to get back in touch with the guy who wanted to commission me to do the West Point Cadets, which is going to be really cool, if that's not too late. So I'm going to look into that and see if I can do some of those. I just had so many crazy ideas. Like, there's so many designs and ideas I want to do other than Star Wars. I want to do military stuff. There's League of Legends characters I want to do. There's just there's a whole slew of things that I want to try to make, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully if I can get those done. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you can learn how to do this. If you do make this gun, make a video. Let me know because I want to see it. If you didn't already send me your address and you're a contest winner, please send me your address. Send me a personal message with it in it, and I will get out. I'll get a chance to ship out the prizes. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it. Y'all have a great, super awesome day. God bless, and I will see you next time.